The liberals are very, very confused about what freedom is. If freedom is criminals running around and dudes going into the girls' room and urine and drugs and excrement everywhere, give me a little more authoritarianism, please. I'll take it, actually. Because, ironically, what the libs are calling freedom is a kind of slavery. It's slavery to the base passions. It's slavery to the irrational impulses of capricious criminals. What liberals are calling authoritarian is much more in line with freedom. It's much more in line with the Founding Fathers' conception of freedom. It's much more in line with the classical and Christian conceptions of freedom, because freedom requires limits. Just like a poem requires limits to be beautiful, it needs meter, that rhyme is sometimes helpful. So too, our societies require some limits, because there's always just a trade-off. If you give dudes the freedom to go into the women's bathroom, you deprive women of the freedom to have their own bathrooms. If you give drug addicts the freedom to shoot up heroin on the street, you deprive ordinary law-abiding citizens of the freedom to walk their streets in peace, unmolested and unaccosted by vagrants and indigents and criminals. There's always a cost here. There's no such thing as a free lunch. So what kind of freedom are we talking about? Are we talking about the freedom of the lower passions and the irrational appetites to drive us all completely insane? Or are we talking about true freedom, which involves knowledge? It involves acknowledging reality. Men and women are different. Certain things are crimes. Certain things are not crimes. We do good. We avoid evil. Involves the intellect, and it involves disciplining the will and saying, no, crackhead, don't shoot up or don't smoke your crack on the streets of San Francisco. No, big husky fella, don't go into the girls' bathroom. No, homeless people, don't defecate on the streets. No, you gotta behave, okay? This comes back to a very basic concept, which the liberals have forgotten. And I'm not even just theorizing that the liberals have forgotten this. The libs in one of their big house organs admitted they forgot this. The concept is called the natural law. Politico has a big hit piece out on Christian nationalism. That's the new boogeyman on the left. Christian nationalism is on the rise. Trump allies prepare to infuse Christian nationalism in a second administration. Spearheading the effort is Russell Vought, president of the Center for Renewing America, part of the conservative consortium preparing for Trump's return to power. Oh no, here comes Christian nationalism. And what is at the heart of Christian nationalism? At the heart of Christian nationalism, they say, is natural law. Now, let's see, where can I find this beautiful definition that they try to? Yes, here we are. In 2019, Trump's then Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, set up a federal commission to define human rights based on the precepts Vought described, specifically natural law and natural rights. I like how in this, they don't even seem to recognize the phrase natural rights, which is much more common in modern American parlance. Even that they don't understand. And they certainly don't understand natural law. Politico writes, natural law is the belief that there are universal rules derived from God that can't be superseded by government or judges. While it is a core pillar of Catholicism, in recent decades it's been used to oppose abortion, LGBTQ rights, and contraception. Okay, well, at least they tried. At least they didn't try that hard, though. Because I guess ultimately everything's derived from God because God's the creator of all things that are created. But the natural law is very specifically the law that can be understood universally, purely by human reason, without divine revelation. I guess they actually kind of got the meaning of natural law, which forms a bedrock aspect, not just of theology and philosophy and morality, but also of American jurisprudence and constitutional law and the common law tradition. They couldn't even get it right. They couldn't even Google it. These are the guys at Politico. They're supposed to be the really smart journalists. They're not these just fringe bloggers. They're supposed to be the mainstream guys. They have absolutely no idea what it is. And it's a core of Catholicism. That's true. Catholicism certainly has quite a lot to do with the natural law, but the natural law being the natural law is it's just kind of part of every civilization. All people can recognize this. What the natural law comes down to most basically is do good and avoid evil. This is something that all human beings have an impulse for, an inclination of, purely through our reason. Even that today, though, the libs will look at you like you've got three heads if you suggest that maybe perhaps we should consider doing good and avoiding evil. I'll say, Mike, what? Good and evil? How the hell are we supposed to know what that is? You say, well, because you have reason, and you have something called a conscience, and you're pretending that you don't, but even you do. We all do. That's part of it. In recent decades, the natural law has been used to oppose a bunch of stuff that's crazy and obviously contrary to human flourishing. Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess